I heard that, my friend, our colleague came last week. Sorry, I had to be with Ariel in the Hale School. He needs a hand, like 150 kids show up. And even 15 pies of pizza is not enough for them. We had to order 18 this week. But it was really amazing to see all those kids. Anyways, just want to share something with you. I don't know, probably unfortunately, we live in a certain society that we feel that, talk is really cheap. Doesn't matter what I say. Especially if you go on the news, sometimes we don't find too many good things being said. There's always negative stuff being said. I really feel that saying something bad, what's the big deal? I just said hearsay, I heard something, I said something. One of the commandments that we have in this week's portion, the Torah says that, the Bible says that you cannot, it says, Lotisa Shem Hashav, which means do not accept. Also, it means do not speak false reports. It doesn't really mean only a lie, but it means don't go and gossip behind people's back. If somebody did something bad, okay, if he's a danger to society, and my pure intention is to save the society, that's not called gossiping. My intention is to save someone. Practical example, imagine a boy and a girl are going out, they're getting married. There's something evil about that person, one of them. And if he or she is going to get married, they're going to be in big, big trouble. And the guy's hiding. If my intention is not to take revenge from the guy or the girl, I just really want to save the person from falling into a pitfall, I'm allowed to go and try to save that person. We don't call that gossiping. But if my intention is just to make this guy look bad, I want to get even with him or with her, and whatever it is, I just want to make him look bad, that's considered to be gossiping, even if it's true. But my intention is to make the guy look bad, that's not allowed. That's what the Torah says, Lotisa Shem Hashav, which means do not give out actually false reports. I just want to bring out how religion looks at it, how bad it is. Again, people that are familiar with the Talmud says, we had our temple in Israel twice destroyed. If you look at the history of the Jewish people, so the Talmud says, what kind of sins did they do that, the temple got destroyed? There must be something wrong, right? It says, if you do a crime, you pay for the time. Or the language of the rabbis is, there's no punishment without a sin. So anyway you want to take that, the religious version or the secular version, doesn't matter. So what did they do wrong? So the Talmud says what they did is they did adultery, idolatry, and bloodshed. Okay, we understand people that do this terrible stuff. Okay, maybe they deserve the punishment, they definitely deserve it. But it says in the second temple, Jews were all religious. Could you believe that? They kept everything, or most of them did. And if there were such religious people, such seemingly good people, why wouldn't God protect them because of their good deeds? So the Talmud says because they would actually go and slander and actually gossip behind each other's back. So the Talmud says from here we learn that if somebody is religious between himself and God, it could be the holiest person, pray for hours in the day, whatever, keep Sabbath, study the Bible, he could do all these things. But if he has, that bad character trait that he goes and actually gossips behind people back, that overrides all the good deeds that he has done. That's how bad it is. So they were religious, but nothing protected them. Now the question actually is, why is it that way? So from this Talmud, we learn how bad gossiping is, but why is it that way? It's not even part of the 10 Commandments. Right? We just read the 10 Commandments last week, this past Sabbath, and it doesn't say don't gossip, it says other stuff, So why is it such a bad sin? So besides the fact, that it ruins somebody's life, I have been a witness myself. A boy and a girl go on a date, they want to get married, somebody comes and says something negative, which is especially not true about one of them. That's the end of it. We have stories right in the world that actually go shoot each other because this guy caused that, I lost my girlfriend or my boyfriend, my potential wife or husband. So, terrible things happen. Actually, even bloodshed happens from it. But let's go through it, logically, in a religious way of point of view. Why is it really gossiping so bad that no matter how religious I'm between myself and God, I don't get protected? So one reason that they give is, guys, the world, thank God we live in a democracy, in America at least, not in Middle East, this dangerous place, not in Russia, right? They say in Russia they find excuses to kill people. Many mistakes happen. There's no democracy. That was the joke at least during the communists. Oh, many mistakes. It was in jail, mistake happened, he died. They didn't murder. But anyways, we live in democracy. Why is it that way? So they say because actually God judges us the same way too. When we do something wrong, we don't get punished right away. So the beginning of the year, Rosh Hashanah comes. And actually God, brings the defending angels, that they mention all the good deeds that we have done. Then the prosecuting angels come and they tell us the wrong things that we did. Exactly like the United States. You have the defendant, you have the prosecutor, and then the judge or the jury decides what the punishment is. So they say, as long as we don't accuse each other, if people wouldn't accuse each other, right? And I don't want to accuse someone, I don't want to hear the accusation of somebody. So then the prosecutor in heaven has no power to say about the bad things that we have done. God would treat us the same way we treat each other. If I don't want to accuse you verbally, or ever say bad things about you, or I don't want to hear it when somebody says something bad, I say, you know what, it's not beneficial for both of us. Let's just forget about it. So then the Satan or the prosecutor cannot have any power to say bad about us. Basically, you could do everything wrong between us and God. I'm not saying you should do it. If we do it, we go unpunished, as long as I don't accuse somebody else. That's reason number one why it's so important. Reason number two, the religious world, we believe in the power of prayer. I'm sure if you ask your rabbis, your priests, they're going to tell you prayer is very powerful. But the only time that prayer is accepted is only if our power of speech is pure. If I use that to use, bad words, every other word is F word, or if I use, God forbid, my language to say bad about somebody, so my power of speech is contaminated. So then my prayers don't go to God. It's not accepted because it's contaminated. Any other sin that I do doesn't affect my power of speech. So that's why if there is gossiping, the prayers won't be accepted. And the last reason that they bring is, guys, every other wrong stuff that we do, how many times a day do we do these wrong stuff? Let's say keeping Sabbath, right? It's only once a week. Fasting on Yom Kippur is only once a year. Even let's say if somebody doesn't keep kosher in the Jewish community, you don't eat 10 times a day. Anyways, half of the food is kosher, basically. If you guys don't go after, whatever, chicken, meat, or seafood, almost everything else is kosher. All the dairy is kosher, the bread is kosher, the tuna fish is kosher. I mean, in America, anywhere, you go to the most unpopulated, from Jews, there's no Jews there. You go to regular Ralph's, you find so many kosher food. But when it comes to gossiping, it happens 10 or 15 times a day. Because it really happens so many times, it damages us the most. Honestly, God, we know that our mouths are very holy. How do we know that? Guys, how many covers on the ark when you go to a synagogue? Anybody is familiar with it? When you take out the Torah, how many covers do you have to open? 1, 2, 3, 4, just take a guess. 2, right? One is the curtain, and one is the door of the ark that you open. So something that has 2 covers, it shows that it's extremely holy. Our tongue has 2 covers, the teeth and the lips. It's a very holy thing. It's an extreme amount of power. Honestly, your words could give life to somebody. And God gave it to us to use it to bring life, to bring goodness to the world, not God forbid you